But when we're done, you gotta wait. Don't log off immediately. Okay, welcome back everybody to the Crave Show with Chris and JRuss, and we've got a special guest today, David Cherry. How you doing, Dave?
Good. How are you guys?
Okay,
This
are you
has to be
hard,
like the
David?
most
Or
unprofessional,
yeah, totally.
goofiest.
We're not Joe Rogan over here. Are you a hard David or a Dave as well?
I'll respond to both. I prefer the David.
David, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever really called you Dave in life, and then, but I just said it, and I thought, oh, I don't think that's right. Okay, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. Ready to roll.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So I'm gonna lead off, and David, I cheated a little bit because we had Leah on a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
and I'm like, man, it's I actually posted something today. I there was a bunch of podcasts I forgot to post, and one of them was Eliana, and I don't know when I met Eliana, but conservatively 20 years ago. But but all that time calling her a friend, I don't know shit about her, and so it's just a funny thing, when we sit down on these podcasts with people that I'm like, oh, I'm friends with this person, and since she tells stories of her skydiving career, I'm like, I don't know anything actually about Eliana. So no surprise that I don't know that much about you, despite knowing you for I don't know 10 years maybe. But your wife knows a lot, so I cheated. So I'm just gonna lead in with that you're a second generation skydiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's start there.
Okay. Yeah. So like my mom, she married and then ended up remarrying. All three of my parents are skydivers. My biological father, George, is George Jika. So he organized like the 300 way, and he's organized at Arizona for a long time. And then like he's coached for the Swiss team. He was also like airspeed 8-way, I believe. Um, and then like my mom, she had like 1,500 jumps or so when she stopped. And then like my father, who adopted me and kind of raised me, Dave, he also had I think about 2,500 jumps. It could be more or less, but so but it's in the blood, as I like to say.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I believe you're quite a bit higher than any of. Well, I don't know about
Uh,
George, but
yeah,
your
George
jump
had
numbers
about
are high.
10,000 jumps when he stopped jumping, as far as I know, and I'm sitting around 5,400 right now.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right, and you just got an AFF rating, is that right?
I did. Yeah, just a couple months ago.
You gonna start working at the school because I mean, you primarily, in my mind, are a photographer, very good one for a lot of different things in skydiving. But then Leah said you got an AFF rating, which made me kind of curious.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of photography for a long time. I've been jumping for almost like 15 years now. And I just kind of kept putting off the AFF rating. So I've done like a lot of tandem videos and all that. And I had a coach rating for a while, which was allowed me to like organize at Skydive Arizona. But I let that lapse for like a year because I wasn't really using it. And then like the opportunity kind of came up, and me and Leah had been talking about it. Like, hey, let's like check this box and like see if we can do it and like see if we like it and all that. She kind of bailed on me. I ended up just doing it with another couple of guys in the course with Jared, and yeah, I got it like a couple months ago, and I was actually working like the day after I got it, so
Oh
I've
wow,
already started working at school.
right on.
You
Yeah,
were you were
it's been a lot
teaching
of
somebody the day after?
fun. Pretty much.
Oh,
That's
I
awesome.
finished the course. I actually had to do like the first jump course, sit through it for like the pre-rec, even though it was kind of post-rec. And then I was working like the next day doing a Cat A with at the school. So I've been enjoying it. It's like it's challenging, it's fun, it's a little bit stressful, but I think it's like pushing me to kind of continue to grow my own skills and kind of see skydiving in like a different way. You know what I mean?
What's challenging about it?
I'm trying to be like concise and like communicate that like the knowledge, and also like being positive. Like I tend to be a little critical like of
Mm,
myself maybe and like other people, and then it's like,
yeah.
hey, this is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be learning, and then just uh, making sure that like the person who's I'm teaching is like having a good time. But
Yeah. That's interesting. I guess I never thought about that balance between you have to be like strong and strict enough to keep them safe. So their life is at risk, right? But then at the same time, you're like, I never thought about that balance. Because coaching in the tunnel, like you don't have to do that. You just help them have
Right.
fun, like
Yeah.
get on to them or help them have fun or whatever. But I mean, you're keeping them safe. But yeah, that's very interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So
And
how do
I've
you do
seen,
that? What have you so far? I mean, I guess your experience is limited, but still you have some. So what have you been doing?
just kind of going back to like the basics that I learned like during the course. It's, like kind of like two positive things, maybe one or two critical things that we could like work on to improve on the next jump. So I just kind of
Mm-hmm.
have to keep reminding myself like, you know, this is good, and then here's what we can like, how we can do better. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Are you enjoying it?
Yeah.
How many students do you think you've had so far in the past few
Um,
months?
I think I've only got like maybe like 30 or 40 AFF jumps or so.
Okay.
And some of those are with the same students, and I actually had one day where I jumped with the same student multiple times. And I got to see kind of that progression within a
Mm.
day. So that was pretty cool and like pretty rewarding.
Yeah, that is cool. Um,
Do do you have an AFF rating, Chris? I can't remember.
no, I like out of AFF and tandem, I have no desire to get a tandem rating, but AFF, I don't know, it just sounds fun. Like getting to teach people. Is it fun? Are you enjoying it, David?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it kind of like gives me like a new look on like the sport, and kind of like a different avenue to explore and grow and
Mm,
progress.
yeah. Is the flying, like the actual flight skills, is that hard or not? It doesn't seem like it would be, but I mean, I don't know. Is it?
I haven't had any like super challenging ones yet. There was like
Mm,
one student that kind of like we were on a coach jump, so I kind of like had this like slightly higher expectation, and he
mm,
like rolled over at the bottom end, and I was like, oh no, and like kind of chased him. But I haven't seen anything like super crazy. Like for me, coming in with like you know almost like over 5,000 jumps and the years of experience, like the flying isn't as challenging as maybe for some other like younger instructors.
mm-hmm.
Uh, but that doesn't mean that I'm not like ready for something to happen where I have to go like chase it. Like even
Yeah,
on coach jump, I was ready to go like chase that dude down and flip him over
yeah,
and
yeah.
get his
No,
parachute.
I mean, I'm sure there can be very challenging things. Like
Yeah.
some huge dude balls up and just you got to dive out after him. I'm sure there's. It just seems like in general, AFF is it hard, JRuss? Like the flying?
I mean,
It just doesn't seem like it would be.
it's not like what David said. Like most of the time, no, it's not that
Okay.
hard. But
Yeah.
but then most of the time, AFF is pretty chill, and the people do what you say. But the thing is, and I love doing AFF, and like you, Chris, I have a tandem rating, but only because it's required for work. Um, like I'll do AFF all day long because you get into the door and you've no, okay, motherfucker, bring it. You have no idea what's going to happen after you leave the plane, and
That
especially
sounds
on the
awesome.
yeah, like you're just geared up in the door, and especially on that first jump. But then even after that, like I've had students that I've jumped them 4 times, and then all of a sudden they go into a flat spin, and I'm what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it totally keeps you on your toes,
That's
and I
cool.
really enjoy it.
So, David, have you had any sketchy, like you got any stories yet?
No, no, just that kind of like one coach student. He was like a transfer student and was just like a little overconfident, and he was also chasing the dock at the end of the thing. But like other than that, not yet. I've done some like military-ish stuff. It's more on like the video side. Um, and I hope to get to do like more of that eventually. I just got to get some like numbers under my belt and like, make sure I'm kind of facilitating the right relationships, all that. But like the heavier dudes, because like I'm fairly light. I'm like 140 without gear. So when there's like the dudes with like the rucks, and I know it's going to get a bit faster and a bit more challenging. But those guys are pretty heads up and disciplined. You know what I mean? So I'm not.
Yeah.
It's a balance, but
Yeah. So previously you've been doing a lot of photography and videography as well, I guess, or just
Can
photography,
we
man?
back up? I totally fucked
Yeah.
up this intro because I'm supposed to let Dave give a bio, and I didn't do that at all.
okay.
Although now that you said you're 140 pounds, we have to say that Leah can deadlift you because Steph made me say I was going to say that on the
Yeah, yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
So
You're super
okay,
strong.
so yeah, what's your bio, David?
I don't know, where do I start? I got into skydiving kind of in my own way. Like I said, my parents used to jump. a second gen, but they all stopped like way before I started. So I've never jumped with any of them. I've flown with my mom in the tunnel a couple of times. Um, I went to school at VCU for graphic design. I got a
Oh,
bachelor's in
really?
that. I worked for a company up in like Northern Virginia for a while. I actually hated that job, so I ended up quitting, and I was like between jobs, and I was like looking. I was like pretty desperate at the point where I was gonna like start stocking shelves at the grocery store. Where I was like, I just need to start creating some income, right? And I was looking on Craigslist, and I found this job at the USPA, and I was like, "Hey, mom, what is the USPA?" It says Parachute Association. I was like, "I figured she would know about it," and she's like, "Oh, that's like the organization that like governs skydiving in the U.S." Uh, and it turns out it was in Fredericksburg, which is about 40 minutes from where my parents lived at the time, and I was like living with them, like in one of their rooms. Um, so I applied for the job, and if you know Shonda, Nick and Shonda, um, they used to be out
Cookie.
here. Yeah, Nick's at Cookie now. I think Shonda's doing kind of her own thing, but I interviewed with Shonda. She was the director of communications at the time, and she ended up giving me the job as their graphic designer for like the headquarters of USPA. So I started doing like the layout of parachutists and like all the internal and external like graphics for USPA, and then I started jumping. um, so I started at Skydive Orange in like 2011, um, which is like a magical place. Like that'll like always kind of be like my home. And I jumped and worked at USPA for about 4.5 years, and then I decided I want to jump more. I talked to I knew through that job, I built a relationship with Brianne and Nick and Brianne of Access Flight School. And she kind of heard that I was like making that transition and asked if I wanted to come organize at Skydive Arizona. So in like 2015, I said yes, like even though I didn't think I was qualified with like 1,000 jumps and like, just barely kind of flying on my head, like taking docks, and came out here. I lived with my buddy Wybenga for 4 years, I think, as I was like basically just doing that and like progressing my skills and building up the jump numbers and all that. And like since then, I've gotten to do a lot of awesome photography and videography jobs, and it's kind of led into other avenues and military contracts and like yeah, it's just been kind of a whirlwind. I don't know if
The
that's a good bio or not, but
That's fantastic. That's the part where it's anything you want. Um, the how did you like? Okay, skydiving, but then did the photography part of skydiving kind of naturally call to you because of the graphic design stuff?
yeah, like I'd always been into photography, even like before I went to school for that. Like I remember my parents buying me like an old film camera when I was in high school because like I went to like an information technology high school too, so graphic design and visual arts were always kind of like part of my adult life, from the beginning. And then like in school, I took like digital photography classes. I wasn't necessarily doing anything like professionally like before that with photography, but once I started jumping, like I started doing some like t-shirt designs and like advertisement designs, kind of freelance. But then obviously like the photography part made sense to like connect the skydiving and like that part of my life, you know what I mean?
Are there any special photography or videography projects in skydiving that you would want to tell us about that were like really special to you or fun or just enjoyable?
Oh yeah, totally. There's like two or three like kind of main ones. The first being with Leah. Leah has a company called Levity where she upcycles parachutes. She turns like old retired canopies like into. It started as hammocks, and then it turned to like hammocks and chairs, and then she's really gotten into like the soft goods part of like bags, like building backpacks or like fanny packs and stuff. And at one point, she was making these like swings, which were basically just like like a little strip for your butt that you could attach to like recycled risers or like hammock straps and like create like a child's like swing. And we ended up taking that swing, throwing it over the side of a hot air balloon at like 10,000 feet with Cornelius. I don't know if you remember, if you guys
Mm.
either of you know him. Um, uh, And so we both, like, she rappelled down into the swing. I rappelled with like climbing harnesses on and climbing ropes. I rappelled off like past, like, past her, and then like hanging like slightly below her. And like I've got the full camera setup on. I've got like, extra light and like, as many cameras as I can fit up there. And then she was like, ready, set, go. She flipped out, and I like wrapped off the end of the line, which felt like super wrong because I've done some like outdoor climbing. You know what I mean? It was just like, okay, I've got a parachute on. Like, we're all good. And like that was like one of my favorite jumps for sure.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And then
Tell me her website real, because we actually pulled up her, or I pulled it up when she was on a couple weeks ago, and I want to
yeah,
share it again.
it should be levityreimagined.com, but
Oh, that's what it is. Levity Reimagined. I knew there was another word. I couldn't remember.
it's been a while since I've been on. But
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So for both of you guys,
Yes, thank you.
when David was talking it, I listened to a Rogan the other day, and they were talking about the effect that AI is potentially going to have on just the workspace. And coding was one of the things that they just keep hammering on, like coding is just going to go away. Is graphic design gonna go that route, you think, where AI can just come in and take some media and start making those projects, or is that something that's always going to require human touch, or at least for the foreseeable future?
I think at least for the foreseeable future, like it already has in some ways. I think that's like Canva and like some of the stock photography sites, like, because like design's like a mix of typography and imagery, um, usually, or either or, that like it already kind of has in some ways, and it's made my job easier in some ways because I can like find stuff that I want to use and like manipulate to make it my own. But I think like it might just always kind of take like a human touch, because like a robot can't necessarily like produce like a really accurate, for like just being specific to skydiving, like can't produce like a skydiving image, right? Because it's not. I mean, maybe it eventually it could like pull, but enough like content to create that environment accurately. But like if you've like me trying to like search for stuff that like related to aviation or like aerial sports or skydiving per se, like it's like impossible. Like it doesn't know what it's like looking at necessarily, because it doesn't understand those like the concepts and the very minute details of like a 3-ring system, or how the parachute like opens and is connected. So I think like maybe eventually it could learn enough, but for like right now, it kind of seems like it's still going to require like a human touch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, JRuss, what David, my background is design,
Oh, cool.
and so I do a lot of design. And JRuss, what I've been using it for, it's definitely going to. It already has greatly impacted the design community and the design world, and it will do stuff like right now. You can just get it to design you a logo in 15 seconds. Now
Yeah.
it's going to be limited on what it can do, but what I've seen so far that it's really, really good at is it's already really good at like design principles. They've taught like even just Claude AI, and
Yeah.
Claude is not one that's been like super trained in design, but it's been trained enough that it knows basic design principles. So I can show it a design, like let's say a poster, and I can say, hey, Claude, what do you think about this
Yeah.
design? And it will then give me input and feedback that's super helpful because it knows design principles. And it
Yeah.
will tell me, like, hey, you've got these two different titles that are different fonts, and they're fighting for attention. You should make this one smaller, or this one bigger, or you should center that. Like it's very helpful, but helpful in the sense that it tells you how to make your designs better with using design principles, but it's still limited in what it can actually do itself. But I think someday it will.
Yeah, I think it has that like technical kind of ability, like you're saying, like those principles, but it sort of
Mm,
like lacks the conceptual and like I said, kind of like the minute details that might really sell somebody on something,
hmm
or make it believable. But,
Yeah.
I guess I'm getting more and more curious about how, like, what are the positive and negatives coming for AI, and this isn't somewhere where we have to spend a lot of time, but um, jobs that are maybe not going to be around. I'm curious about those, and then what are those people going to do? Um, okay, so let's see. You're also a rigger, is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Did you do any? Do you do any actual rigging, or did you just get the ticket?
No, I mainly just pack my own reserve. I've packed like Leah's reserve. I used to pack for more people back in the day. I just kind of gotten away from that, focusing on photo, video, now the AFF, and like I just want to jump more and like not be rigging as much. And then, but it has been super useful on military contracts, because that's usually a prerequisite, you know. So I do some, but I'm not like an extensive rigger. I like having the knowledge, but not always using it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, having the knowledge is great. I'm amazed at my experience level how very little I know about rigging things. Like I'm not a rigger, and I don't know shit. So I think that's good. Uh,
Yeah, it surprises me. That's kind of like not necessarily a pet peeve, but if there's like somebody with like 1,000 jumps and they can't hook up a 3 ring, I'm just like, what are you doing?
well, no, I could do that. I
You're
was thinking
using.
more on the like I was looking through Brian Germain's book a couple of years ago, and it was like
Oh
the
yeah,
cord. You know, I had a picture with like this is the chord line, and I was like, man, I don't know that stuff.
yeah. Well,
But
that's kind of nerding out on stuff too, but,
yeah.
which I tend to do.
Um, and you, let's see. Okay, on the rigging thing, I understand that you had your first chop a few weeks ago.
I did.
Your
Yeah.
very first one?
Very first.
You
Yeah.
over 5,000 jumps?
Yeah, it was about 5,300
Wow,
jumps.
that's amazing.
Um, and like,
That's kind of cool.
Are you
yeah,
jumping a
I
Sapphire
was,
too or something? How are you that far along without any chops? What are you jumping?
because
I've seen you swoop. You're on like a Valkyrie or something.
yeah, I have a Valkyrie 75 now. That's what I jump.
Uh,
But I'm obviously not loading it super high. But I like I would tell people that I had like a streak going, and I was like, yeah, this is like how many jumps I have and how many cutaways I have, and they were like, oh, knock on wood or something. I was like, it's not a coincidence. Like I have maintained my gear and I pack for myself, which I'm pretty meticulous about. So like, where's the room for stuff to like go that wrong? You know, like maybe bad body position every once in a while, but with so much experience, it gets kind of harder to do that. And obviously, like stuff does happen. Like my buddy says, like you're throwing fabric out, a ball of fabric into 120-mile-an-hour wind. Like something's bound to happen, and it did eventually. But yeah, it was a pretty immediate no, and I didn't even think about it. Like I'm ready for it every jump. I practice. I do handle touches multiple times every jump. I have like a chant that I kind of like say to myself, like this is it. This is the one. Like ready to save your life, you know. And when it came time, it was like I said, like a no brainer. So
What was it?
a line over. It was a line over, wasn't it?
it wasn't really a line over. Like
No, no,
okay.
I had to say that because you said you're meticulous about your packing. So
Well, here's the funny thing. It's I don't know. I don't know exactly what it was. And there's like two possibilities in my mind. One is that I hooked up the removable slider incorrectly, which I don't think I did, because I've hooked up that slider thousands of times. It was the last pack job was at the end of a long day, so there's that chance. But what had happened is I think I had a super weak pilot chute, and I like threw it out. And if you watch the video, it kind of like bucks me a few times. So I think, and it sounds kind of weird, but I think the pilot chute like as it collapsed, like fell in front of the canopy as it was opening, and it did bow tie it to where it was like a line over, but it was the bridle that was like bow tying.
So it was a bow tie, not a line over.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, a pilot chute,
like a
bow
pilot
tie or
chute
whatever.
wrapped around,
Yeah.
fully wrapped around, and it like.
Oh, you
that's
packed
my
that thing
theory.
wrong, bro. That was all. You know, just.
I mean, I might just have to say as a line over.
Yeah,
I mean,
just
that's you, bro. No.
You're not gonna let the truth stand in the way of a good story.
and I've packed a lot of parachutes, and as far as I know,
I'm
I
just
have
kidding.
like no chops for the packed parachutes too. So
Oh, really?
as far as I know,
Man, I packed for a team one time in Eloy. It was a terrible idea. Number one, it was terrible. But the packing crew, I messaged the drop zone. This was before I kind of moved out here in the winter. I was coaching a UK team, and I wrote the drop zone like 3 times. They're like, yeah, we'll have somebody get back to you, and nobody ever did. And finally, Steph's like, look, we're both going to be there. Let's just pack. It's 5 parachutes. They're doing 2 up, 1 down. Like we got plenty of time. man, my fucking hands were bleeding. And the first day, a guy chopped, and he was so pissed. Like, these are guys I'd never met before. They just want to do VFS, and like he's super super mad. And we're like, sorry, like not a professional packer. Yeah, I'll never do that again. The money was great for a few days, but that was ugh. Okay. And but you remain, I believe, the official photographer for USPA. Is that correct?
I mean, I wouldn't say that necessarily. I've freelanced with them, which is kind of cool because I used to work there, and then now I get to like work for them as like a contractor. I'm the official photographer. Some years I have been for USPA Nationals, but that's kind of the extent of it, right? Like, it's not like I do like a
Okay.
ton of work for them outside of nationals specifically. But I do submit a lot of photos and then get some photos published from month to month. So but that could be anybody. It's not just me.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know about that. There's some good photographers out there. Like that. I'm happy that there's a super good crew. I'm actually kind of I'm happy that the crew that not that the crew was bad when I first started, but I really like the vibe of the sort of younger generation of you and Nate Roth and Seth, and just some of the guys that are coming up or established. But I like the vibe, man. I gotta give.
Nate Roth is the younger generation. Come on.
Well, I
Nate's
mean,
old. Nate's old
he's
guy.
he might his
He ain't the
age
younger
might be that,
generation.
but I,
I
I
was
mean
gonna
like the
there too.
Brian
Would you?
Bucklands and kind of Jason Peters and the guys that what was that fucking guy's name? I don't think he jumps anymore, but oh god, I'm not. Yeah, I can't remember. It doesn't matter. But Nate is not younger age per se, but he's the younger generation of videographers. It's nice. Seth actually was on one of the records. Uh, he ended up giving away. I gotta have it. I don't think he's going to be on the podcast. He's too shy, but I'll try. But he ended up giving away the digital print of like the head up or head down record and took a bunch of flack. And he's like, hey, the people just paid me to be here. Like I got a day rate to be here, and now I don't
Yeah.
want to. Like it was just such a different feel than things that have happened in the past time. And like there's a bunch of reasons why I appreciate the younger generation of that. But
Wait,
that
I
was
don't
one.
understand. Explain what you're saying about him. I didn't
Well,
follow that.
in the past, like okay, if I'm a participant, like I've been an organizer on the record, whatever record you're going to talk about, except sequentials. I haven't been one of those. But for most records, I'm an organizer. I'm getting paid to be there. And it struck me a little bit like, okay, I'm getting paid to be here and paid to do this, but if you want me to debrief you, that's an extra $50. And you're like, yeah, but you're one of the organizers and my registration is paying for you to be here. Yes, that's true. So in the past, it was we paid part of our registration went to a four or five or $600 day rate for a photographer, videographer, and then if you wanted one of the prints, you were going to pay $200 for
Oh,
a print, and you
oh,
could
I
not
see.
have the digital print, the digital copy, because once the digital gets out there, then
It's
everybody can
free.
have it.
I
Um,
see.
and at the last record, and believe me, Dave, I'm not saying this has to be the way that everything happens. It happened at one of the events, and I was like, oh, that's super cool. There's another videographer that was at, I think it was the Head Down record, that just happened, and he was like, after the record, he's like, hey, if you want a copy of this the shot, let me know. And I know he took a lot of shit from some other videographers for cutting into what they saw as
I see.
uh,
I see.
in,
He was just giving
income.
it away,
He's
whereas
like,
in the
man,
past people have sold it.
right. He's
I
like, this is
see.
what I was paid to do. I got paid travel and accommodation and a day rate to come out here and do this. And for me to then say to all my friends, like, no, you have to give me more money than this
I see.
was a job, and that's the
Yeah.
job that I was paid to do. So I mean, it's sort of a philosophical
Yeah. No,
difference of
that's
opinion. And
yeah.
obviously no one's obligated to do it that way. It was refreshing at the time.
That's
So,
that's
Totally.
good.
Yeah.
yeah.
David, if you could go spend a day or a weekend jumping and just go have fun with whoever you want, whatever you want to do, what are you doing?
I mean, I jump all the time here, so I'd probably want to go somewhere else just for a change of scenery.
Yeah.
But a lot of my friends are here, and in Arizona, right? That's where I live. I, I don't know. I'm like maybe some beach jumps. Like beach jumps have always been super fun for me. Like I've
Yeah.
jumped Panama, Puerto Rico, Hawaii. Um, like I'd probably want to go somewhere kind of tropical and go do some beach jumps, but just like ripping around doing some angles, dynamic stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I really enjoy.
Okay. Cool.
I thought as you were talking about that, I was thinking about because I jumped in Costa Rica, and I really fucked up one landing. I mean, not really fucked up. I was okay, but I hurt my foot, and it made me wonder, like sometimes when I sometimes when I talk to newer jumpers, if I don't know if you guys go through this, but I put up a poster at Skydive Chicago of a mistake that I made in the past because some younger jumpers were watching us debrief, and the comment was something like, you guys are perfect," or something silly like that, and I was like, bro, it's no, that's not a word you can use. But then all the mistakes that you've made are kind of in the past, and people don't see those, and I wondered, like just because most of our jumpers are youngish jumpers, a couple hundred jumps to 1,000 jumps, maybe the people who watch are going to watch this, like out of those 5,500 jumps, is there one that stands out where you're like, man, I kind of fucked up? Are you willing to like talk about that?
Yeah, yeah, totally. There is one specifically that I can think of off the bat. And I kind of mentioned it. I was just recently also like profiled for parachutists, and it should be coming out like next month. And
Hmm.
I was kind of reluctant to like share it too, but I think it is important to just kind of show that we're all human and we all do make mistakes. Um, there was one I went, so I had a few thousand jumps. I was jumping like an 84 comp velo, and I had been talking to like my Justin Price, who's obviously a very accomplished super these days, and he was kind of like coaching me along. And I think I was talking to like Travis Mills, and so I went to go visit Leah in DeLand. She was working at UPT as like an intern at the time, and there was like an FLCPA meet that was coming up, and I think it might have been the first one of the season. It was definitely my first one, and I've been at like a beer line super, like not doing huge turns or anything, but like I can be accurate and I can be uh, safe. You know what I thought, you know. So, but never had really been over a pond, and it was like the warm up day. I went out early, you know, the day before the comp to go practice and like kind of get my toes wet, so to speak. And the winds were kind of strong, and I just kind of like set up wrong, and I ended up low, and I skipped on the pond pretty hard. Like I did a couple of flips through my risers, knocked the wind out of myself, like luckily it was on the water, so that was kind of the worst of it. I might have like bruised something internally or whatever, but uh, Greg Windmiller was right there. He actually ended up like checking me out, like after I kind of sit up and got my breath, and he checked me out better than the doctor that I went to see after that, just to make sure I was like okay. So because he knew what he was looking for, right? He was like he knew exactly kind of what had happened. But yeah, it's like I kind of assumed I'd not, you know, let the ego get the best of me, and didn't really respect the environment that I was like getting into, and you know, learned a valuable lesson that day. So
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. I hit the water in a similar way a long time ago, but it was the last jump before the comp in the morning, and I remember laying on the couch thinking, should I be doing this? Like,
yeah,
if that had been the ground, I would have died.
yeah,
Uh, I hit hard. And yeah, those are the kind of things that people see you swoop now, and I see you swoop the beer line, and you're kind of doing methods and almost dipping into blind man's maybe. And are you getting there?
oh I probably have a few thousand blind bands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When I see you in the Eloy, it's like you're going halfway and then turning back. Are you not
Yeah,
allowed to full
with the
commit?
camera helmet, I tend not to do it as much, which is probably when you see me a lot is
Ah,
doing air
okay.
jumps because of like the ring sight and the extra gear and stuff. If I did mess up, I don't want to like, you know, wreck the camera stuff or myself more. But if I'm organizing with like my G3 on, I tend to pull them if I can, if everything kind of lines up. But yeah, I do a lot of blind bands. That's kind of my my jam.
Okay. When we were Steph and I were in Dubai, and Skydiving Dubai started. Do you know Tim McMaster? Do you remember him? Was he in
Yeah,
Eloy?
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was our teammate, and then a British guy, Rob, and another friend of ours, Ellis. And those guys were all like young and Timmy was really good at blind man's. He's really
Yeah.
good, but he broke his leg on the way to being really good. And then Rob and Ellis, while we were there, decided they were going to learn blind man's, and Rob broke his leg, and Ellis and Timmy laughed at him, and then Ellis broke his leg.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I don't know what I was at the time, 36 or 7 or something, but I was like, man, I'm not learning blind man's. Like, I don't want to be out for 7 or 8 months with a fucking broken leg. And
Yeah.
I was like, your methods were about as far as I got, and then I gave up on the whole idea. Have
Yeah.
you broken your leg?
I have not broken my leg. I've never, beside like that day at the pond was probably the most injured I've ever gotten, luckily, in my skydiving career. So no broken bones.
Yeah, that's it. That's a knockwood. I've got some for you. I'll do it. Okay. I want to just point out that I love it that you said that you weren't qualified to organize with 1,000 jumps. That's great.
I mean,
most people.
Yeah, in my mind, it was like I'm going to Arizona. It's like one of the biggest drop zones in the world, and I had this set in my mind that there's like a tier of what you should be, right? And what was explained to me as I was coming over and getting the job, it's like not necessarily about the experience that you have. Like 1,000 is good enough. It was the minimum was 500 jumps, a coach rating, and a good attitude, right? And it was more about being an ambassador for the drop zone and like just making people feel included, and then like not jumping with your friends exclusively. Like obviously you're going to jump with your friends because it's a small community and all that, but like I kind of pride myself in that I'll jump with everyone that I can that day. It won't just be like the same group. And like that's obviously fun to like build that progress during a day. But if there's like some younger jumper that has nobody else to jump with, and I'm like, hey, let's go do a 2-way or like maybe throw a 3-way together or something so that they can feel included and also give them a little bit of feedback on their flying to like make them better. You know what I mean? So it ended up being more about like being that ambassador and like just keeping things rolling in an organized fashion as far as like load orders, separations, and getting people stoked about being there.
Yeah.
So
right on.
I just took that over. But
Chris, what do you got with that grin on your face? Oh, Chris, your mic overheated.
Now, can you hear me?
There we go.
No, I just really, really like that, David. Just your attitude and just that you're trying to include everybody and jump with other people. And I just think that's really great. That's a really nice part of our community. I'm not going to say that everybody is like that, but there are quite a few people I think that try to have that kind of attitude and that mentality. And I just think that's really a really nice aspect of the skydiving community, that there are so many people who try to have that attitude and that mindset. And I really like that. I think that's cool.
I think JRuss is one of those too. I've seen you jump with 26 jumps, freshly licensed people. It's like, yeah, let's go have some fun. Like, and that kind of, I feel like has inspired me over the years to just like stay humble and keep it fun,
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you say that because while you guys were talking, it reminded me of Craig Girard jumping with me when I had 100 jumps. And I was on a belly team and I knew who he was, and there's no fucking way he knew who I was.
Yeah. No
and
way.
Yet he came and jumped with my team. And then when I saw him like a year later at nationals, he's like, Jason, good to see you again. Like,
wow.
Yeah,
okay, Craig. I mean, I think that he's good generally with people's names. I've heard that from other people, but just the mentality of, I don't care who you are. Let's go skydive, and that made such a big impression on me at 100 jumps to be jumping with this guy who's a world champion. And man, I was just doing a random 4-way that turned into a 5-way with Craig Girard. Those moments are memorable for those people that you happen to land on that day, and I appreciated that, and I'm glad to hear you guys say the same.
What's stuck with you, right? How long have you been jumping, JRuss?
It's 25 years. So not forever. Like there's Craig's probably been jumping 10 or 12 years longer than that, and but man, I remember that day. I remember the photos that Mike McGowan took and I bought one because I was just so over the fucking moon that Craig Girard was on my skydive. And and the truth is that skydive meant very, very little to him, but except that it made a huge impression on me. Um, and he's going to be our guest in a couple of weeks, and I'm gonna bring it up then. And the blank look that I bet I get when I say that you jumped me when I had 100 jumps, he won't remember, and it doesn't matter. Like that's not what's important. But it is important that you go jump with younger people and just get them jazzed about the sport.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it just makes like just the feeling of comfort when you're the younger jumper, the less experienced, and you see whether like whether that person knows who you are, David, or not. They know that you're an experienced, reputable person on the drop zone. They may not know actually who you are, but they know that you're somebody, and that you know what you're doing, and that you're experienced, and that you're safe, and like just that comfort that they get of going with someone who knows what they're doing, that's really nice. I just think that's so great that we do that for each other, and that we make that a normal, natural part of the way that we treat each other. I just think that's so great. I really like that's kind of the expectation that we have. As we get better and better, we have more obligation to take care of others, not less. That's good.
So, David, my bird is around. She's shy of the headset. She's God, Chris. I almost sent you a picture because she got up on top of my laptop. She was sitting right next to the camera, and just closed her eyes and fell asleep. And
Oh, what was that?
Oh, sorry, that's
sure.
my computer. My wife
Oh
is
my!
This is a bird bite.
We're awake.
Ding.
Okay, but last podcast, we took a couple weeks off. Leah was actually our last guest, I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got into a conversation, and David, you're gonna have to voice your opinion here because Chris and I stated ours. By the way, Chris, I did look up the animals being aware of fairness, and I have a couple articles that I can link to you. And I believe my question to you was that you would come back with a definition of intelligence. And David, if you've got one, I've been asking people this question for the most of my adult life. How do you define intelligence? And so if you've got an answer, it's fucking hard. And there's so many right answers. That's like your answer is not wrong, whatever it is. There's
some wrong answers. There's some dumb answers.
I mean, it can be idiosyncratic to whoever you're talking to. Like they can have their own. Well, and in fact, one of the smartest people that I have in my life, her definition is that you get the advanced jokes.
that you get the advanced jokes. Okay.
Like that's as good as any other definition, So if either of you, like David, Chris has had to think about this for 2 weeks, so you get a little reprieve. Chris, let's hear it.
I have not come up with a good answer, but I did have a conversation with someone that I really respect their opinion, and I asked them, and so the only thing we came up with, and I'm not satisfied with this, is intelligent beings can. I don't like this. Recognize patterns. It's such a lame answer. It's not. I honestly haven't come up with anything good because it's a hard question. It's a really difficult question. Like, I don't have a good answer.
David, you want to give it a shot?
The only thing that kind of like keeps coming back to me is like, well, how do you define intelligence? In like the context that we're talking about, but I like the pattern recognition, but I understand where you think that it kind of like just falls flat on like that definition that we're trying to come up with. What I was kind of thinking is like the empathy, if they can like, because it might not be a literal intelligence of how things are going, but like maybe emotional intelligence could be like a thing too, right? Because like my dogs know when we're being stressed out, and they come and like love when they're just like, hey, like this is. So I'd say like in that way, my dogs are intelligent, or like learn tricks and all that, but without being prompted, they can respond to that situation. So I don't really know. That is a hard one.
It's
Do,
hard.
David, do you know Swati Varshney?
Yeah.
And she was on the show a while back, and I asked her this at a record or Summerfest or something that happened a couple years ago, and her definition was really good. Not the end all, of course, but a
She's very
good framework. It was yeah, and she's super smart, so no shock.
yeah.
Ability to learn,
Okay.
the ability to store what you've learned, and the ability to apply what you've learned.
That sounds pretty reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's broad enough that you can say what you've learned is emotion, or what you've learned is math, or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, it's not a complete definition, of course, but I really liked the framework of that. So the rest of that conversation, David, was that what did I was saying? I think we were talking about animal intelligence because that's been a common topic for me since having a bird, um, and understanding just like my sparrow here. She landed on my arm. She's really shy about the headphones. Like normally, guys, she's doing laps around my shoulders. She's nibbling my ear and she's jumping on my glasses and she's all over me. But as soon as the podcast starts, I like she's got real nervous behavior going right now, and I think it's the headphones. But anyway, um, she's very smart, as was my previous bird, and we had a conversation. I think about African gray parrots because that's one of my favorite bird topics. That one was reported recently to have developed cancer, and the woman who was speaking to the bird said, "What's happening to me?" And the lady said, "You have this disease called cancer, and I can't do anything for you, and probably it's going to kill you." And the bird said, "Where will I go?" And
Oh,
if that doesn't make your eyes pop open the way that your eyes just popped open, like
that's
I you,
crazy.
I don't think you're paying attention, but I think it's those kinds of things that, at least in my mind, really beg a question of like, what is going on in the animal kingdom that we don't understand, or we're just ignoring or not aware of as far as the intelligence level of other creatures. And so Chris and I got into a conversation about a chimp that I was aware of that could speak, not speak English, but he could speak in a computer language, but you could speak to him in English and he understood you perfectly.
Oh my.
He died a couple years ago. But a very famous research subject, a bonobo chimp, his name was Kanzi. I'll repeat that if anybody wants to look it up. I mean, you could read for years about him. He's just amazing. But there's another group of studies that revolve around animals understanding the idea of fairness. And that was kind of where we were at, Chris?
That was one of the things that came up. Yeah.
Yeah. And Chris kind of challenged me on, do animals understand fairness? Um, but I would encourage you, because all I did was look it up on Grok, because that's the AI that I'm currently using, and it talked about several of those studies, including the one that I remembered, and it had kind of for and against. So before I skew it with my bias, you can just look it up. And but David, did I hear dog barking in the background? Is that your dog?
They're going nuts out there. They're getting hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're.
Um, what do you got?
We have two dogs. We have one that's like a cattle dog husky mix. She's like 6.5, almost 7. And then a smaller Australian cattle dog slash Aussie, like a shepherd mix, and she's probably like 35 pounds. The husky's a bit bigger, probably like 70 pounds.
Ooh, yeah.
So, and the other one the smaller one we got, I think she's a year and a half or so. So she's still got that puppy energy, and she's running around being wild.
Did you happen to see? Do you know Bo Kaler and Jasmine?
Yeah, of course.
Did you see their little dog at
Yeah, Moab.
the Head Down record? Is
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that it? Was like a full size, but it looks like a puppy.
It's a miniature cattle dog, I think, or miniature red heeler. If I could be wrong, Bo can correct me because we actually, me and Bo get mistaken for each other across the country. I've had this like with
Ah,
multiple people, and I so I know him pretty well. But I'm pretty sure it's a
okay.
miniature red heeler, and that thing is it's pretty smart.
Yeah,
You,
yeah, yeah.
you see, you get its rock where he's like, mess it up, mess up that rock.
No, I haven't seen that.
He'll scrape it between his legs and just kind of goes nuts.
Um,
Pretty cute.
yes. So you've got. I don't know about what was the bigger dog? A husky.
She's like a cattle dog husky mix. Yeah.
But cattle dogs are about like I think Australian shepherds are the smartest dogs out there. Is that right? And cattle dogs are right there.
Yeah, they're
Right.
pretty smart. They're pretty intelligent.
Yeah. And
Trainable.
so, would you call like what? How would you rate the intelligence level of your animals on a human scale? Would
On
they
a
be a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old?
Yeah, maybe like a 2-year-old.
Hmm.
Yeah, we were watching something the other day, and they had, they had
I'm
horses.
jabbing.
The movie we were watching had like horses in it, and Leah was like, "Oh, the horse can do that," and I was like, "No, horses are pretty smart. They've got the mental capacity of like a 3 or 4-year-old." My mom's owned horses for many years, and they're smart animals. Like they're big, and they can be like flighty in like the the flock sense, where they're kind of like in a or the herd sense, I guess. But they're actually really intelligent, and like empathetic animals. So.
And so, when you have that experience, like across different species, I mean, I think a lot like dogs and cats are so common. Those are the, I mean, those are the like very traditional pets for humans. But it wasn't until like, and I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but I've had dogs and cats, and then I've had like snakes and turtles, and I will admit to you freely, Chris, that snakes and turtles are not that smart. Um, they they turn food into poop, and they're not. Other than that, that's about it. But the personality, like of the bird, really made me sort of start questioning how I felt about the bulk of the animal kingdom, and just not really feeling like I had an accurate view of what that intelligence level was. And the little half-ounce sparrow kind of brought that to light, which when she died, my nephew told me that maybe that was her job, and that I really needed that bit of information. Um, so now I'm polling everybody about how they feel about the intelligence level of animals. Because I think that, especially dogs and cats, and to be honest, especially dogs. Chris, do you have dogs?
I have a dog.
You have a dog. Like my buddy that I actually started skydiving with, Graham, wrote me a message. We lost our dog of 16 years a little bit before Christmas, and it was absolutely crushing. And he wrote me a little note, and it reflected very accurately what I feel about dogs in particular. That is the one place in the world you have absolutely unconditional love,
Mm.
and I I agree. And I know it's a kind of a ding sometimes on the humans we spend our time with, maybe, but your dog is never trying to fool you. It's never like there's no deceit, there's no dishonesty. It is stoked to be around you. I mean, assuming you're not beating the shit out of it or doing some kind of cruel stuff. It just wants to be around you and wants to spend its time with you. And that's I think that's why it's so hard when we lose a dog.
Yeah.
Totally. My dog does try to deceive me. She wants second breakfast all the time.
My dog does that with dinner. My dog does that with dinner.
Yeah.
She totally tries to trick us. She's like, I haven't been fed. I haven't been fed. I'm like, yes, you have.
I did hear a quote. It might have been like off a reel or something. It was like, your dog is your best friend for part of your life, but you are your dog's best friend for all of theirs. And that kind of like struck me in how they operate and how much they like have that unconditional love, and made me kind of appreciate them more.
That's a good
It
quote.
is still the domestication of the wolf was, in my opinion, the smartest thing human beings have ever done. And I don't know what we would have to do. Maybe AI, because it's going to be hyper intelligent. But I still think dogs is the best improvement to our lives that we've ever been able to accomplish. Man, there you go. On cue. Your dog agrees.
David,
well, go. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Well, I was just going to ask you, David, what's something in skydiving that you really enjoy talking about, or that you think maybe a safety thing or a discipline thing that you think maybe is not talked about enough or understood enough?
Hmm. I mean, obviously, like the camera stuff, because it's like such a big part of my career, and a lot of people have this tendency to like move towards that very quickly with putting a GoPro on their helmet. Or I've even seen people like now with those like the Ray-Ban Metas that are
Mm-hmm.
people are they're just sunglasses, but in a sense, it still is a camera. It's still a distraction potentially if you're trying to like mess with it or like get the shot when you're not necessarily like qualified to be doing video. But obviously, if it's just kind of like recording, so um, yeah, like camera safety for sure, and then kind of like we were talking about earlier is one of my pet peeves is people just not like having like basic knowledge of their gear,
Mm.
and taking kind of advantage of the sport, just like cool, I can go out and have this, and that they don't necessarily have that sense of the gravity, if you will, of like what they're doing, like
Yeah.
that is a real danger. There are dangers to it, and they're kind of taking advantage of other people's knowledge or abilities to be able to get them there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What pieces of gear do you think are most of the time not understood enough or overlooked, or like what are the things that kind of come to your mind that you see over and over? People like, come on, surely you should know this.
Yeah, obviously like canopy stuff, like canopy training, but like as far as like physical gear, I don't know, maybe like how like the reserve works or like how your AAD works and like the specifics, because that's like a little computer in itself,
Mm-hmm.
and people don't know necessarily like the altitudes that things are activating or deactivating, or um, yeah, I don't know. There are a few large pieces to the puzzle. They're
Yeah.
simplified enough that it all works pretty cohesively and simply, but that are kind of important that people I feel like neglect sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
David, do you think that the USPA guideline for jumping a camera, I think, is 200 jumps? Does that
Mm,
sound right? Do you think
yeah,
that's appropriate?
I think so. Yeah, because like you should, in my mind, like kind of be developing those skills to just get like build that wind awareness. Like if you do something like 200 times in any other environment, not an extreme environment, like does that you feel confident enough that you can add more pressure or responsibility or danger, like risks to that situation? Like, I don't know, like if you brush your teeth 100 times and then you want to try to juggle knives or something, you know what I mean? Like does that make sense? Like, probably not. um, I don't know. It's not that's not necessarily like a good
I like it. No,
but
it's good. I like it.
yeah,
And
I'd agree with the 200 jumps, and I try to push people, and there's been some instances where people have gotten around that kind of in front of me, and I'm just like, I don't really agree with that, but you're an adult, so.
have you had any problems with any of your like lines or risers or anything getting caught up with your gear?
I can remember one time, I think it was CSC Nationals specifically. I've got that like the flip up articulating ring sight, and like I knew it was a problem, but I went to go do like a turn and I kind of dipped my head too far. And when I came back, like the ring sight got stuck temporarily like on the riser. It wasn't like wrapped around or anything, but it like inhibited my head movement. And I'm already kind of mid turn, and I was like, well, I'm pointed at a building right now, so this is not good. And I like did something to kind of get it free, and then it was just like, okay, cool, I'm good. But that and then like I can remember my removable slider did come over like the front of my GoPro one time, and I wasn't able to fully disconnect that slider. It was like half off, and I just had to like leave it so I could land safely. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Hmm.
So it's a very real risk.
It is when we were still jumping like the side mount. I had whatever PC9 or PC101 or those kind of things that you put a kind of a fisheye lens on. Twice, my risers went forward and scraped off that lens and took the
Yeah,
threads with it to the point where I just gave the camera to a family member. I'm like, I can't use it anymore. Good luck. Um,
yeah,
but mine were never like a line hanging up or God, that your ring sight sounds totally sketchy to
yeah.
me, like
I
so
mean,
close to the ground.
there's like a slight redundancy that we try to build in, which is nylon screws for those
Yeah.
ring sights, right? So that if there was a problem like that, it would hopefully snap off. It's more probably on like openings and all that when there's a greater load force on it. But then the other option is like cutaway systems on the camera helmets, which would suck because I jump, a few $1,000s in my head usually, but that's, worth my neck or my life. So
Yeah. And kind of still on camera stuff. What do you like? Do you have any projects coming up that you want to talk about?
there's nothing like immediately. I have later in the year, like I'll be going probably to Big O. I'll be go to Lost Prairie and do some camera work there. There's one group that I've been working with for the last few years, and we've been continuing to kind of up the promotional events for that boogie. The company's Cleared Hot. It's a veteran kind of like lifestyle company based out of Canada, and it's just one guy now. It used to be kind of like I think a couple more guys. There's one guy, and they've turned it into the Vet Boogie, which is where they gather now veterans from kind of like Canada and the U.S. mainly, and they have an event where they pay a small registration fee, but then they raise enough money to buy tack time for Skyvan, and the guys get to jump as much as they can for a whole weekend. Like for free, right? Like basically. And then there's a bunch of swag on top of it. They get jerseys and stuff. So one of my other favorite jumps was we jumped a car last year where we it was a late 70s CVCC, which I think was the precursor to the Civic. And it has to be like that size because of the width after those years. It started like cars just got wider and stuff. So to fit it in a Skyvan, it's got to be like that. It's highly modified. Steve Curtis was a huge part of it. There's another guy, Keith, that was helping him like fabricate a bunch of stuff. Anyway, like Joe Jennings rode the hood out. I'm slipping by the fairings, like out the front, and then Trunk was chasing it out afterward. Those guys have been amazing and like helping me kind of progress in like the world of like stunts, you know what I mean? And it's probably like the higher end of production stuff that I've been able to do. And we've done a bunch of skits that kind of wrap into it. Anyway, so this year I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it yet, but we're going to do not necessarily like a stunt where it's going to be more like a jump in and do like a battle thing with like airsoft guns and
That sounds cool.
more like a mission. And
That sounds really cool.
Is the car you jumped that little kind of green thing that's sitting outside of his dad's old house? Kind of on the corner of shed
truck or whatever.
Well, I've driven up to the drop zone a couple of times recently, and that like you know that stop sign that the cops are always parked there to catch people. That Curtis's dad used to live there, right? And in the sort of the southwest side, there's a little green, looks like a Honda Civic, sitting on the ground. Did the car survive the jump that you did with it?
Oh, absolutely not. No.
Okay, so that's probably not it.
It went in straight, like they've done a bunch of car jumps. Like this is the place. Like Eloy is the place to do that kind of stuff because we have the space to do it and drop it into the middle of the desert, and like never have to worry about it being hopefully hitting anybody. The area does get cleared and all that, but it pancaked the fairings that Curtis and Keith fabricated for it kept it really level. So instead of it like tumbling end over end, it just went in like spinning like in one direction and it just like pancaked. But
that's cool.
Yeah. That was Constantine's chuck shit out of the plane event, whatever they called it. Is that right? Or is it earlier?
Yeah, I got to be a part of that junk boogie. What we were calling it, like the junk boogie or the Guardians of the Drop, and I got to be a part of that too. That was a separate event, but that was also
okay.
Same place in the desert where we get to go drop that stuff. That was pretty wild too.
Yeah, cool to be. I mean, Joe Jennings has done so many cool things. I don't know if I have enough pull to get him on the podcast. I'll try.
Oh, he's super chill.
Yeah. But what a great that to me. You hanging around with Joe is a little bit like me jumping with Craig when
absolutely. Like, yeah.
Dude,
the first year I was like, I'm jumping with Joe. Like not only we're doing like a crazy stunt, but like I was level up too for sure.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll keep an eye out for that. Are you part of Kunze made a video of did he do some of your video in there? Is it all his stuff or how did he manage that video?
Yeah, Kunze's in charge of that video. I don't think it's out yet. I think it's very close if it's not. No, that was like a big video team. So Joe Jennings was on that, Nate Roth, me. Actually, Leah was a part of it. Trunk was on there. I'm gonna forget somebody. There's like a picture of all of us together. So he just like Kunzi kind of took the lead on like the editing side, but there was so many objects happening so just like quickly together that we needed a whole team like that to kind of get all the goodness. So
Yeah, I don't think the video's out yet. Somebody said he's sort of trying to get away from the Instagram 20-second clip and go for like a Joe Rogan style video of like, hey, you're gonna sit and watch this for 20 minutes or
oh,
whatever it is. I hope
there was more than enough footage to warrant that too. But I'm pretty stoked about that edit. Alex Cashman, I believe, he works for GoPro, and he brought out like literally like 100 GoPros, and it was just like, do what you want. So there's footage on top of footage on top of footage, and I'm really excited about that edit for sure.
Cool.
Let's go.
Chris, what do you think?
We've done it, man. We did it.
Got any closing thoughts, David? We're a little over an hour. We usually stick to around an hour. What's the future for you? Yeah.
When is Leah's thing out yet? Because I want to watch it.
No, I need to publish it. I'm going to publish it this week.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Depends on how hard we are working in the background. And when I say we, I mean Chris. I don't do any of it.
Exactly.
Just want to try and spread the love there, Chris.
Yeah.
We've done it. We did not waste an hour. We spent an hour with friends talking. Chris likes to close out. What's it from?
What from Car Talk? You've done it again. You wasted another perfectly good hour.
Yeah, that we didn't waste an hour. We did a good job. Thanks for joining us, David. Appreciate having you on, and we'll look forward to that. I'm stoked that you're in the parachutist article for featured skydiver, profiled skydiver. Right? Is that still Brian Giboni? Is he still doing that?
Yep.
Cool.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's been fun.
Yeah. So thanks everybody for listening, and get out there and enjoy the sky with your friends. And if you got the time, check out Crave's podcast, where you can kind of tap into the knowledge and wisdom of the ages, so to speak.
That's right.
And you can take it in bite-sized chunks and learn how to be a better skydiver. And there's a video section there from one of David's compatriots, Ewan Coey, who's pretty big in the world of videography as well.
Yeah.
So and I actually heard Joe Rogan say, you can do more and be better.
He did?
And I was like, that's it.
Nice.
I gotta back that up, and because that's the slogan for Crave, which I say do more and be better, because that's Chris's podcast, or Chris's stuff, Crave. So thanks for Joe Rogan for holding up that flag for us. He's apparently stumping for us, and he doesn't know it.
That's right.
Cool.
All right, thanks you guys.
Thanks everybody.